Welcome back to Shots in the Walk-In. My name is Renae.
And my name is Anna.
And today we have a very, very special guest.
He gets two berries?
Yeah.
Okay.
Scott Rixe.
Hello.
Welcome to our wonderful little podcast, Scott. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Of course.
Welcome. It's nice to see you. We haven't seen you in a long time, so it's good just to see a friendly face on the other side of this Zoom call that we recognize, because we've been talking with a bunch of people that we actually don't know lately. So this is fun.
Yeah, it's nice. Yeah. So I warned you about this already. We like to do a little safety meeting at the top of the show. So let's get her going. What are you drinking today, Scott?
Today I am going to drink Rainier gin.
Oh, Rainier.
Yeah.
Like Rainier beer, but now they have gin.
They do have gin and it's super good. It's actually made by the same people. What?
Is that all they're making so far? Is the gin?
They have Rainier gin and Olympia vodka.
Got it.
Oh.
That's that one.
That one back there. Yeah, I've seen those. I haven't tried any of them, but cool. I love it. I grew up in
the
Olympia,
beer,
actually.
Great labels, cool stuff, really fun to drink. So
yeah, very cool.
And it's all locally made, so super good.
Yeah, that's always nice.
We love that.
Cool.
We made ourselves little like tequila shots with some. We made little margarita shots.
Yep.
Oh, I like that. How much was there? I don't have any limes.
Yeah.
Well, you better get on that.
Yeah.
All right. Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh man, that's just refreshing.
It's refreshing. I know. We're gonna actually go sit in my yard after this and drink margaritas. So
yep.
It's like a little DTO.
It's like a little. I don't know. I could.
What is a DTO?
DTO is it's a daiquiri timeout.
Oh.
Bartenders will make like one daiquiri and then like split it between like 2 or 3 people.
Delicious.
And then you take like a little just quick daiquiri shot.
I love it.
That sounds fun.
It's like my favorite shot in the walk-in.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty industry standard cocktail at this point where people ask for like a DTO or a daiquiri shot because more people are like getting woke to like the idea of that a daiquiri is not a blended margarita or a blended drink at all.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, it's like people are pretty comfortable making those, and I think it's pretty common now. So
it's a delicious, perfect, classic cocktail. Like some of these things, folks, are just classics for a reason.
Yeah.
A daiquiri, fucking delicious.
I think that there's so many easy ways to do variations on daiquiris too. Like you can add anything you want to them. It's like a neutral palate.
No, totally. I actually I have a gigantic rhubarb plant in my garden back there. So 2 days ago, I just grabbed a bunch of stalks off and I took them to work and I made some strawberry rhubarb puree, and I'm putting a strawberry rhubarb daiquiri on my cocktail list starting next week.
That sounds delicious. I will drive to Tacoma for that.
Yeah, rhubarb fresh out of my garden.
Yeah, that's amazing.
That's like garden to table there.
It is.
Anna's garden to table.
That was the most fun I ever had was as a bartender was working for Jerry Tronfeld at Poppy, because we had an entire garden, and every single cocktail on my menu had something from that garden in it.
Really?
Every single one of them. And so every day we would pick flowers and all these and Jerry would teach me how to prune the rosemary and prune all these other little plants and take everything from the garden and then show me how to transfer it into syrups and everything else and how to extract the flavors. That was the best lesson I ever had in gardening, not cocktails. More about flavor than anything else. That job was probably the coolest job I ever had for bartending, hands down.
Delicious. That's amazing. That awesome. Do they still Poppy?
They're Poppy?
Now. Scott?
They're gone.
Oh.
That was the north end of Broadway, but he had initially had the James Beard restaurant, the Herb Farm out in Woodinville. So it was his second restaurant, and now he lives happily in Palm Springs.
Oh, well, you got
to nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, can't argue with that.
And out.
Yeah,
so,
bye.
Speaking of bartending jobs, tell us a little bit about how you got into this industry. I just touched Anna's bare toe with my toe, and it was alarming.
Sorry.
I think you're still COVID safe, with toe.
Toe touching under the table.
Yeah. Well, I'm just trying to get her attention here.
I moved into Seattle in 2004 after I graduated high school, and I started school at Cornish College of the Arts. And so I picked up a job immediately, first job I could find on Broadway, as close to my house as possible. And I worked at a Pagliacci Pizza.
Oh, nice. Delicious.
For like 3 years, and got to toss pizza in front of lots of kids and whatever. It was a lot of fun. I loved the tossing pizza, but I wanted to be able to make money. And so I decided we better learn how to bartend and serve and do all the other things and work for a real restaurant. So I kind of started at Tidbit Bistro way back in the day. It was down on Roanoke Avenue. Mm-hmm. And then worked there for like 3 years. It moved to Broadway, shuttered. And then because of Groupon, which was really silly, but they tried to give us, so they really closed the restaurant because they had tried to put all these Groupons out, and they would charge almost nothing, and then these people would come in and order and then they had like this $2 drink special, and I was like, nobody's gonna make any money here. And then sure enough, it closed immediately. Yeah. And then I started working for Matador out in Ballard, and I was there for like 3 years. I think I kind of honed my craft a little bit in there, and then kind of just worked a bunch of different restaurants from there on out. Like I worked at the Saint for a while with those two on the other side. And then, I managed a really large Asian restaurant, Zudang, for a little bit. That was my first time I ever took a general manager job for $36,000 a year.
Okay.
Oh, God.
They gotcha.
I was managing that, like the entire restaurant, and doing all of our payroll and doing all of our hiring and firing, including our head chefs, which I took care of for $36,000 a year. That's when I decided that I should learn a little bit more about the industry.
Yeah.
And how long did it take you to figure out that you were getting bamboozled?
Well, the restaurant went under fairly quickly because it was being run by, the building was owned by the mother of the son who owned the restaurant. So there was a lot of micromanaging happening, and some pretty solid lessons there, how not to do that. Yep. And then I was back up at Poppy for a little while. And then I, at one point, I had 9 jobs in 1 year.
Holy shit.
Yeah, because I got very, very interested in why the mechanics of the restaurant and why things work and why things don't. And most of it came down to finances. And so I wanted to look into the financial problems that restaurants were having and why some fail and why some don't. So I was working at like Barnacle. I was working at like a Quality Athletics downtown. I was working at Keto's, and I was working at, I just worked
a lot of places,
a ton of different restaurants. And I got really, really close with all the managers so that I could ask them a lot of questions and figured out, what were they doing? What were other people doing? What's the cost difference between that? And then I found out that I really loved Excel. So
yeah.
And I was like, this is great. I totally love this. I'm going to make a cooler program, or like, inventory and spreadsheet stuff. And that really took off. And then I started teaching it to other people.
Yes. Yeah. I can imagine that if you're working at those places and asking all those types of questions and showing interest, you're probably like everyone's favorite employee because you were like willing to help make things run smoothly. I mean, most people most people that are in management positions, I feel like a lot of our employees just are there to work, make their money, get the hell out of there, which is fine because we all have done that and it was great. And that's what you do sometimes. Yeah. But it's nice to have people who are interested in kind of learning more and helping things actually run smoothly and succeed. I mean, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. And the other side of it is too, is just being able to share the information too. Like, right. I worked with the Washington State bartenders community and a couple other like people, and was able to like share some of that information, and hopefully had changed somebody's outlook about management and be like, it can be easy if you have the right tools.
Yeah.
But if you don't have the right tools, then it sucks.
Yeah, absolutely. Or depending on what kind of support you're getting from other, you know, aspects of if you work for a company or restaurant group, whatever it is.
Ownership.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It's night and day for sure. I mean, I'm sure we can all attest to that. Absolutely.
Yeah. We've seen the worst and we've seen the best, right? You know, those managers, the managers that do really, really well are really good with people. And you see those owners that think that their restaurant's doing really, really well, but don't have a connection with their manager. And then their restaurant's like, it could go either way. It doesn't.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I mean, it's nice when managers and ownership can like really open their books and like help out with the manager so that they can actually improve the business as a whole. But sometimes that's not the case, and you're just not going to get there. And that's also another thing that managers have to deal with, you know, like.
Yes, absolutely.
You may not know everything, but you still got to do it.
Sometimes you got to figure it out. And I think that's when burnout happens very quickly. I mean, as someone who's put in charge of a lot of people, you have to be able to put out fires and like this, you know, but I mean, it's going to be exponentially better if you have just any kind of support from, or, you know, it's impossible.
I mean, it all comes down to developing the right systems that make sense for the people that you manage. You know, if it's making a list of everything that they need to do, because you can tell them like 30 times how to do something, and then they just forget it immediately. Yeah. You just have to make lists and directions, and then you just do that. That's what you have to do as a manager, you know, like that's just, you know, and I thought it's a pretty great, you know, job to manage restaurants or open restaurants. I think opening restaurants is probably the best part. But
it's fun and exciting, you know, everything seems so new and you're figuring it out and making new.
I like the shiny stuff.
Totally.
You know?
Yeah, it's fun.
But even if you have the shiny stuff, sometimes like it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's still going to be just as frustrating as if you had like the world's worst weld that has 20 leaks in it, and you know, and you know, none of the right pour spouts or all of them are mismatched.
Yeah, just wonky.
Oh man, that is one of my biggest fucking pet peeves.
That drives me bonkers too.
Yeah.
Hurts me on the inside to the core.
Yeah, I don't like
all
that.
The same pour spouts, or I'm not standing behind the bar. Sorry.
Yeah,
it's awful. Or when people put pour spouts on shit that they use like once every 2 months. Yeah. I hate that
and
shit
then
too.
Leave it on the shelf.
And leave it on the shelf to just sit there. Oh,
no.
Drives me bonkers.
Nope. New bartenders, don't do that.
Yeah, it's true.
Don't do that.
Don't throw the cap away or the cork or whatever the hell is in that bottle.
Anyway.
Just keep a Tupperware full of caps and corks.
Yeah. Seriously.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, you're good. Just keep it in the back of the bar, and nobody's gonna care. Run to the wiser. Like, just use them.
Yes.
Oh man,
yeah, I agree. Hot tip here from Shots in the Walk-In. You're welcome.
Yeah, you heard it here first.
Yeah.
Stop using the plastic pour spouts.
Oh,
and stop using the plastic pour spouts.
And stop using golf tees.
Ones? Oh, golf tees too. Yeah, and I golf, and I still, I can't refuse. No,
we're not doing that.
I don't like dust caps. Search them online.
There's dust caps. They're cheap.
They're so cheap.
And they look so much better.
Yeah.
I still go to bars out in like suburbia, because like that's where most of the golf courses are anyway.
Yeah.
And they're putting like just plastic cups over every single bottle at the end of the night. Like the little like triangle cups you get from like one of those weird like water machines.
So it's like office water fountains. Yeah.
That doesn't help. That's not doing anything for your cup. Or for your like protection of your liquor.
Also, what asshole designed those cups that you can't set down and you have to throw away?
Because they don't want anyone to
Why?
Be able to, I don't know.
Be happy with the water?
Yeah. Set it down and take forever? I don't know. That's a good question.
Because they want you to drink your water and then throw it away. so that you can't set it. It's bullshit.
They hate the planet.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of weird cups out there, and don't get me wrong, like I have plenty of them.
Oh, you do have a lot of weird cups.
You do. Okay, but, Scott, this is great podcast material.
Yeah.
People can't see that, but no. I did a lot of cocktail competitions, right? And every competition had to have like a presentation. So when you're doing presentations, you do a lot of thrifting.
Yeah, I'm sure.
For cups. And you have to have like a set of 4 or 6, depending on how many judges there are.
Right.
You know?
Got it.
Yeah. Competitions were my way into like learning cocktails, like because it forced me to be creative.
Did you start entering them just kind of on, I mean, I know that you were making cocktails pretty seriously, like back in the day when we all worked together.
Yeah.
But was that something that you wanted to do, or did you just kind of like jump on it and enter one on a whim?
Honestly, the reason that I jumped on making cocktails in competition was because it would take you places. So like if I were to have won the like Woodford Reserve competition, they would fly you to the distillery and you would go compete there. And then they would fly you to the next place if you won that. And then there
literally takes you places.
Yeah. And there was, like there were like, so if you worked for a company that was like, if we were doing like there's like Bombay Sapphire does the most imaginative cocktail or whatever, then you would go to London, like great.
Oh man, yeah.
Okay.
I'll try at least, you know, and then like see if I can get there. I didn't, by the way. Spoiler.
You win some, you lose
London.
Yeah.
But there was there was a lot of those, but it also put you in front of a ton of other people, right? It put you in front of every other competitive like cocktail maker, which typically were pretty great bar managers at that time. And then you're in front of a supplier too, right? So you think about it, you're in front of the brand itself, and those people have the opportunity to hire you. So that's a different change of pace from just managing a bar or being a lowly bartender. You know, you had an opportunity to like maybe change your career, which is something I thought about too when I was making cocktails. Even I was like, well, how do I go from this to another level? You know?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a good point. When you kind of, you know, started, obviously you must have thought about entering a different field, I suppose it is. This is our lead up to what you're doing now, and I'm doing a terrible job at it, but
you're doing great.
But were you kind of wanting to step out of restaurants at that point? And that's why you were kind of thinking, you know, like I'll enter these competitions and maybe it'll lead to a different job, distribution, like whatever.
Yeah, I think so I realized, when I kind of like the last restaurant job I worked I was opening up restaurants for Ethan Stoll at the Ethan Stoll Restaurant Group. They have all the Tavoladas and all the other, you know, they're doing a ton of cool work, but their kind of focus is Tavolata and how to cook a wolf.
Yeah.
I got
Ethan Stoll, this is a really well-respected chef in Seattle for people that don't live here. And
context. And he's just a kick-ass person. He's super nice and he loves charity events, and he really loves the zoo, and he really loves onesies.
Okay.
He likes animal onesies. It's great. So follow him, check him out. He really, really cares about his people. I highly recommend working for him if you get an opportunity. He's very, very knowledgeable. It's
Good
very,
to know.
very cool.
Yeah, that's great.
But he was one of the last people I worked for, and I got to work with Sinan, his kind of right-hand man. And we got to open up Cortina downtown, which was one of those shiny new bars. And we had 31 seats straight in a bar top.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So it's a very, very long bar. We had 4 wells. And they were all Tobanellis wells, which for people don't know, are like this, like, it's like the Ferrari of a well. You know, it fits around your body. There's sinks built into each of the wells for dumping and melting. There's 4 different ice trays in there. Like, you know, it holds everything that you could possibly want. Well, we had 4 of them and we thought we'd open with all 4. I was like, no way. There's no way we're going to be able to do this. But sure enough, we tried, and then all the juice and everything else, all the prep went bad.
Yeah.
Because it was just too much to fill all of them. Anyway, it was there where I just kind of like, I was reaching my manager like potential. Like I was like, all right, well, I'm doing cocktails for all the Tavoladas. I'm doing cocktails I had just written a menu for a restaurant in New York, Wolf, and the Nordstroms that they opened in New York.
Wow.
And so I was like, I think this is kind of like where I can get to as far as management goes or bar management goes. And I was like, I think I'm probably making as much as I could in this industry. So I was like, well, what's next? I got to keep learning. And so I've always either wanted to work for a supplier or a distributor. And I ended up, fortunately getting a job with Columbia Distributing, and not as a sales rep, but as like an overlay for everybody else. And I was as a wine and spirit specialist, which I obviously had a lot of experience in wine and spirits. And so I got to walk right into that role, which was amazing. And now I get to just call on all the people that I had worked for in the past, or like, all the relationships that I'd had from coming through the bar industry are still prevalent. And I just get to utilize them to do my new job.
I imagine that networking all of those years was really key into making this role like as amazing as it was for you.
Yeah, it's been a blast, and like I get to see all the people that I want to see, and that's actually my job, which is cool. It's not like I'm just going out to go like have a beverage with every bartender in the city, but I kind of get to do that.
You have a sweet job. You have a super sweet job. I remember at one of the last restaurants that I was working at, you showed up because you were just going to drop off some information, and you were like, what are you doing here? And I was like, I manage this place. And you're like, oh shit.
Yeah. And then I think we proceeded to have like some really, really amazing wine tastings.
Yeah.
Tasted a lot of wine.
It was
and and the knowledge that comes along with it too, like you're never not learning, which I think I like about being on this side of the business is like, even if a new brand shows up on the market and it's not even mine, like I'm still learning about it. Like I'm still like looking up everything about the brand, figuring out pricing, like how can I be competitive? Like what's the new hot take on gin? Like are people using gin and stuff anymore? Or is a dying category? Sure, probably. Like there's a lot of those like trends and stuff that now I get to see from the outside looking in, as opposed to being the manager part of it and going, why am I not selling any of these fucking scotches? I go, well, the IRI data from the National Registry, it looks like we're not going to sell any of these.
Yeah.
And so it's funny, but it's better for me because I'm always learning.
Absolutely.
Where once you get to the top of like kind of managing restaurants, or you've done it for long enough, there's kind of a spot where you just know how to do it all. And they're not going to add anything to restaurants that's going to make it more complicated than what your job already is.
Maybe a little bit of COVID, but nothing like exciting. Yeah. Or nothing.
Nothing like thrilling or like, oh man, this new product came out and well, like it's just like, oh man, they came out with new bar stools. Let's get to them. Everybody buy a bar. It's not like that every day. It's like we come out with a new product and I got to push a new product or figure out a way to sell it or find out the uniqueness of it.
Yeah, exactly. Did you have, besides being a restaurant worker, because we are all salespeople when it comes down to it, and we're good at upselling and selling new things that we need to sell and whatever, but did you have any other kind of like direct sales experience, or was that kind of a newer thing?
Well, so my dad has always been in sales. So growing up, I just kind of like, he has just been always a salesperson. He worked for like a bunch of different companies, like including Pillsbury. And yes, he did have to dress up as the doughboy.
No,
which I immediately got back in retrospect, because he definitely dressed me up as a doughboy when I was working for Pillsbury.
Yes.
But I mean, he's always been
require pictures.
Yeah, we're gonna need to see that.
this is a podcast.
Oh, we have an Instagram.
I'll bring him back around.
Okay.
And so I kind of like, I took a lot from him. I think that he always had like a very sales mentality in the way that he talks to people. And so I took a lot from what he did. I briefly had taken previously a 6 or 7 month little work with a very, very small wine company that I found on the internet. And I didn't even know that I wanted to try sales, but I took a risk, and I said, I'm going to work for this company. And I went and applied, and they said, yeah, you can have a job. And it was called Small Lot Wine Co-op. And they produced, or they sold wines that were all with wineries from Washington that only produced under 2,500 cases a year.
Oh,
wow.
So really small.
Yeah.
Like each vintage had to be under 2,500 wines. And so I worked with them for a little while. Those two owners, or one of the owners, ended up actually starting another wine company who I distribute now, which is Proletariat Wine Company. And they do keg wine, which is pretty cool and easy and very wasteless.
Yes,
so
we like that.
Yeah.
I'm into that. Yeah, absolutely.
Smart. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of cool innovation in spirits, but I think that was one of the spirit and wine, I guess. But there's like natural wine and all this other stuff. But I think doing keg wine, that's a cool, really try to leave the glass out of the environment, and just put it on keg. And it's cost efficient. It's just cool and smart.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you're wasting less. I mean, how many bottles of wine do restaurants end up dumping out for glass pour, glass pour bottles that don't get used?
How many bottles of wine do servers just chug the rest of?
Yeah.
We used to do that.
Yeah, we definitely used to do that.
Oh, wine shots? Okay, cool.
Yeah, wine shots. We got margarita
wine shots
we got
in the walk-in. All
right. Wine shots in the walk-in.
I don't see the problem.
That was a common one. The white wine shot that's always oh yeah, this is almost empty. Okay.
Yeah, you're tasting it. You need to know what you're selling, people.
That's the excuse. That's right there. That's how you get away with drinking on the job.
Yeah, I don't remember what this tasted like.
Even though I drank this last
tasted
night.
like I can't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember what this Fernet tasted like. Whatever.
I got to describe it to a customer in like 2 minutes. So now.
Exactly.
What was the one thing that what was the one shot you guys took when working?
There was phases.
Everybody has one, right? We have to. Don't do this for people listening. don't
do this unless you go into the walk-in. But I feel like it's always just like Jameson or Hornitos or something that is like a crowd pleaser, that you can just give to your coworker and they'll be like, oh yeah, that's fine, whatever. Something shitty like that or whatever. Not shitty, but just whatever. Like one of the staples.
Fine products.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was definitely a long-standing like Hornitos era, and then it switched to Jameson. But then sprinkled in between, there were with a certain bartender, we would do mind erasers.
Oh, I love mind erasers.
I do too.
That is that is one of those like stupid guilty pleasures that I totally love. I'm just like, oh yeah, I'll have one of those. Sure.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I mean, you can pretty much get anyone. I feel like any person in the industry will do one. They might roll their eyes a little bit, but they'll definitely do one.
They're fucking great. I remember I went to Mexico in that time when we were like we were like in the midst of the mind eraser phase, and there was this bar owned
sounds safe, by the way, Renae. Sounds super safe.
Whatever.
Not clear mind and then just traveling wildly in Mexico.
It's great.
Don't worry about it.
But no, there was this bar owned by this American woman, and she had this big sign above the bar that was like mind eraser challenge. If you can beat the owner in a mind eraser race, then she will buy your tab. And I was like, oh fuck yeah, I've got this thing. And so we did it. Every night we would go back to that bar and I would do a mind eraser challenge with her. And she did get me once, but I beat her, I think 3 times. And she was pissed. awesome.
I mean, you are pro. You are pro.
I was gonna say that sounds like the best lady ever.
Right. She was cool. And so she was
Mexico.
pissed though. Mexico's the best.
I went to Mexico for the first time last year, and I went to the town of Tequila.
Of course, yeah.
For one of our brands, and they were opening a new hotel, and it was one of the best experiences I'd ever had. Like, it was just so beautiful, and it's like, Tequila's inland, and it's an hour out of Guadalajara. So like, you fly in, they pick you up because Guadalajara, and I mean, it's just like not the safest town in the world. And so then they bring
a bald redheaded man for sure.
Yeah. Wearing flip-flops or some shit.
Flip-flop tourist guy right here. Like, kidnap him. No.
Not cool. So, but I got to experience so much of the food and the culture of like that little area. And Tequila is so like unique and special. Like, and at that point, one of the people that helped hire me to Colombia, Devlin, he owned one of the largest tequila bars down there. It was like La Cata. La Cata was this like beautiful like tequila library, right? Mm. And it just had, there's over 2,300 brands of tequila.
Whoa.
Yeah. And there's only 131 distilleries.
Oh, wow.
Oh, crazy.
So actually, you think about that, that's like every distillery making 20 to 30 brands.
Yeah. I kind of assumed that every distillery was doing like maybe 5 or 6.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's wild. I didn't realize it was that crazy.
There's actually only 8 left that are only making one brand.
Wow. That's crazy.
Oh, wow.
So all the rest is divided between the rest of those. So the 124 like distilleries, they're making the whole market for tequila.
That's wild.
Interesting. That's a fun fact right there.
I want to go to tequila.
We'll just drink tequila. We're going to drink tequila after this.
Yeah, since you guys are on tequila today.
Yeah, I'm on tequila every day.
Yeah, that's fair. But it was one of those like experiences where I got to see all these different styles of production and how you can do it. Like, I rode horseback through agave fields, like it was
just your hair whooshing behind you.
Your beard split in two and waved slowly.
But like we happened to go down with some like influencers. This is my favorite thing, is we were down with
everyone. You were with some influencers?
Because they had invited some people to the hotel to like show it off because it was new, and they kind of got lumped into this little horse adventure up into the agave fields. And well, I'm not going to say every influencer is dumb as nails, but oh my God, it was challenging to watch. And the best part is that this girl had never ridden a horse before and decided that squeezing onto the horse with her legs was going to be a better way to hold on to the horse so she could take pictures.
Yeah, brilliant.
And that horse took the fuck off up into the mountains. And
really?
Ran her like a mile and a half up into the hills. And our guide didn't speak any English. He only spoke Spanish. And she definitely didn't speak Spanish at all. And so he had to like chase her down and like grab the horse and bring it back. Yeah, it was very
He should have just let her go. He's like,
fuck her.
Yeah.
No, he owned the horse. He didn't care about her. He was like, that's my horse.
Yeah, that's a good horse right there.
My livelihood.
Oh my God. I gotta get Paul back.
It's so good. He's like, I need my horse back.
Yeah, you do.
Left everybody else. He just like beelined it for her. Yeah. She walked 4.5 miles back down the hill.
Wow, that's what you get.
Yeah, don't be a moron. Did she have a selfie stick? Obviously not, because she was.
Yes, she did. She tried to like, and she had a photographer with her too. I was like, really? Do you really need to be doing it yourself? You had a photographer.
Oh my God. I would have laughed my ass off.
Yeah.
Tequila is an amazing place to go and experience like real like production and quality of spirit. because there's nothing like it. Like when you smell the fresh agave, when you actually get to like see it and get it cooked and like taste it right off the still and like see it fermenting, like it's a wild story, and people don't really know how much goes into properly made tequila. So
yeah,
it's cool.
That sounds awesome.
I mean, like there's all these citrus trees that all of the yeast comes from, like into a lot of the distilleries. So when they're doing that fermentation, they don't add any kind of like yeast, like where beer companies will have like this like manufactured yeast
right.
that they keep, and then that way they make their beer consistent across the board.
Sure.
It's just wild yeast. It's nature doing its thing instead.
Wow.
And so it's beautiful. You actually get to taste that flavor.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Tequila's fucking rad. I mean, like, tequila is great, and it's super good for you, and it like makes everyone happy. Yeah, tequila's really, really super cool. I know that sometimes it gets a bad rap because people, blame like gross college party experiences I barfed and now I can never drink tequila, and I'm like, well, that sucks for you because you probably were drinking
Jose Cuervo.
Yeah, it's Cuervo.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the big problem with the tequila industry, and this is like probably underspoken all the time, but people who kind of know there is a ton of diffuser tequila. That means it's like just shredded, agaves. They're never been cooked. They go through a machine and it's shredded, and they just like steam it and get as much extraction of the agave sugar as possible.
Right.
But like, if you think about it like a pineapple, right? This is a really good definition, right? If you think about it, a pineapple, and that there's that really hard center and pit, well, that is removed from really good agave, right? And those are piñas are cut in half. And so that pit is removed because that pit is bitter, right? When you eat in pineapple, it's bitter. And then imagine just like, instead of like, if you were to grill a pineapple and then you make your spirit out of it, that's something different than if you just shredded it, and then made a spirit out of it. And then the ones that grill it or cook it in like an autoclave or a brick oven, like how traditional tequila is made, they remove that bitter center. But in all those diffuser tequilas, they leave that bitter center in. And so then you can taste it. It's a really, really good indicator. And that's how you can really tell, like that it's different. And then when tequila was coming to the United States in the mid 1900s, they were trying to make it more similar to bourbon, right? Because that was what was popular in the United States. Well, in the process of doing that, it became really, really popular to import like corn syrup in order to make the fermentation process expand, right? So you could get more alcohol if there was more sugar.
Right.
Well, all the sugar is supposed to come from the agave, but then they added all this corn syrup from the United States because it was cheap and we were growing a ton of corn at the time. And that's like places like Cuervo, like, and a couple other, places would take those like rich sugars and like all these other different sugars and add them to the product in order to get more alcohol out of it. Cause that's what yeast, right? We're doing the fermentation thing.
Right.
It's you get and so they would get a higher yield. And so they could produce more with less plants that take a long time to grow.
Yeah. Sell it for cheaper and
sell it for cheaper.
Yeah.
And, some companies did it in a really, really cool, good way. And other companies did it in like the most economical way possible and needed to make money. But most people's bad experiences with tequila come from those kind of those brands. And because they don't drink like, if you're drinking 100% agave or even just brands that have, a little bit more production value and are using brick ovens and couple other things. So
right. Well, yeah, and think about it, if you're just adding a bunch of extra crappy sugar to anything, you're gonna feel terrible. You know what I mean? Like that, we just get sugar hangovers from like eating too much, whatever, something with cookies or cake or whatever. What's something with sugar in it?
Yeah, so Cuervo and companies like that are just taking a giant weed whacker to all the agave, tossing buckets of corn syrup on it, farting in it, and then bottling it,
and then tossing an influencer who
tossing a frat kid in there.
It's just it's a bummer because they're peeling agave early. So instead of having it, after 5 or something plus years, they're taking it at 3 and, and not letting it develop fully, and the flavor's not there. And
got it. Baby agaves.
Yeah. And they're just not letting it come to like live its full life into it. And then, they're not helping the crops propagate or become better or less volatile to, disease. So,
right.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
It's a whole problem, and that's that production, and that's why tequilas are expensive, just in general, honestly. So respect it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pay the extra money for the tequila. It's good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Just some good tequila. You don't need anything with it. No lime or anything. People, come on, just taste that shit.
Yeah, like Fortaleza Blanco is my favorite.
She does
right
love
now.
I think, Fortaleza, I just had last night, we had the cask strength from them, their Blanco. They usually just have in the cave. There's secret spots to have it up here in Seattle. I just
cool.
But they're, it's the neighbor of my favorite distillery. So it's like there's Tequila Orendine, Fortaleza, El Tecaleño, which is my favorite, and then Tequila Rete. They're the only 4 distilleries that are allowed to use like the mineral water that runs off of the volcano in the town.
Oh, that's badass.
I didn't know that.
Super cool. So it's actually, there's so much heritage in tequila that like that's actually that water runs into the town, and it was for many, many, many generations. Like there's a washing site for like doing laundry with that water in the town of Tequila.
Yeah.
And it used to be like a hot spot to pick up ladies.
Hey-o.
Oh yeah. Doing some laundry.
Yeah. I like your underwear.
Yeah.
It just is a very like goofy part of the history, but it runs right between Fortaleza and El Tecaleño. That's where that washing station is. It's cool.
Nice. That's cool.
I like that. Picking up ladies doing laundry.
For visiting, but
yeah, really. Let's get back into what you're doing. Okay,
tequila rabbit hole. Yeah, as much as we're enjoying it, this is fun. Yeah,
this is a tequila podcast now.
Yeah, I am not mad about it.
Yeah, that's cool.
So you kind of did what a lot of bartenders dream about, or at least consider at some point in their career, which is moving into a rep position or working on the distribution side. So congratulations on that.
Yeah.
But this year has been super wonky. So tell us a little bit about how COVID has kind of changed the game for you on the distribution side.
Well, I think that there are a lot of things that happened this year that, with our regulations and everything else that changed for all of the restaurant owners. And what that meant for their bottom line and what that meant and how they pivot, kind of changed their buying practices for like a ton of the industry. And everybody, everybody was sitting on product like it was going out of style. Yeah. Like we were talking about inventories that were way, way, way out of control. Right. And so, I mean, and we've been there when I was a bar manager, all I wanted to do was buy, because I want to sell the cool thing. I want to sell that cool thing. I want to sell that cool thing. Who's paying me to sell that cool thing? Right. Yeah. That's the same reason I got into the competitions, right? Exactly. Are you going to pay me for that shit? Hell yeah, I'll take it.
I'll do anything for a free bottle of booze. Let's get real about it here.
I'm like, sign me up. But everybody was working through this backstock, this inventory as soon as that hit. So March of last year, when COVID hit, everybody was terrified, right? And they had no idea if their company was going to survive. And they should have been, because over I think 250 restaurants in downtown or something alone had closed down. Yeah. Maybe it's not exactly that, but it's a lot. And so they should have been terrified. And so a lot of people were really, really tightening their budget. They were tightening what they were going to be able to do. And then they were buying very, very differently, right? When I work from a distribution side, try to sell somebody something, it doesn't make sense for me to sell them a very expensive bottle of wine that maybe one person could possibly come in and get, even though they have 25% of the possibility for that person to come in. No, it's not that efficient. It's better for me to sell something like that's going to turn around and make them, immediate profit, right? Like if you think about it, like I'd rather sell somebody a bottle of vodka that we know that they're going to use every single day, And so for a long time, that was the practice, right? And when the restaurants closed, it was, well, now we got to pivot, right? My job was supposed to be on premise for the most part, on premise being all the restaurants. Mm-hmm. And then off premise is like convenience store and grocery store. Well, that's where everybody was buying because they were taking that stuff to their house and they were buying large formats of it. Like your regular Chardonnay bottle, for like a 750 milliliter Chardonnay. Yeah, that got left on the shelf. And what happened is people were buying like 1.5 liter Chardonnays. To the point where it increased by over 200% in just one SKU. Wow. Where they were just like, well, we're going to have huge bottles of wine at the house now instead of having small bottles of wine because we don't want to go back out, which made sense for COVID.
For sure.
Right? That was smart buying, but it also changed the face of the market. So it was like we had to continue to kind of pivot and figure out how do we sell to both the grocery store, convenience store, and then how do we sell into the market that was restaurants at the time with like almost nobody inside, right? All sitting outside, and they were doing to-go programs that were, fledgling at best, mostly. Like, I mean, people in the market itself became a little bit more aware of how to make drinks at home because they couldn't physically go out. So they just started Googling stuff to the point where vermouth actually sold out in a few grocery stores in Cap Hill even.
Interesting.
Yeah, where like people are making Manhattans at home or they're making like their regular martini.
Yeah.
But the grocery stores weren't prepared for that.
Right. Nope. Exactly. Yeah.
They obviously didn't know that people were going to.
They're like, this is a dusty bottle that's been sitting on the shelf for months.
They didn't know, they didn't know that was going to happen. And so then people started to like really develop their whole thing and like learn how to make cocktails at home. Well, that is sure enough, when restaurants kind of started to come back, that innovation was, lost on them. So then the cocktails had to come back in full, because they wanted something that they couldn't make themselves. Now that they're kind of a little bit more learned. It was just like, and so it's been interesting to try to sell new products and like, how do you get people interested in new products when they come out? And how do you, what tools do you give the bar or bar manager to kind of think about it? And like, how are they going to sell it? And are people just going to go for their name brand still? Which unfortunately, and a lot of people don't like to change their script when they leave their house, and we end up with like people still ordering Tito's and Tito's.
Yeah.
I'll take a Tito's with Tito's.
I'll take a Tito's and Tito's, please. No, it was always, I'll take a Tito's.
Did you mean vodka. Tito's and soda water?
Tito's and vodka.
No, I'll take a Tito's and vodka.
Classic order right there.
Yeah, Tito's and vodka.
Whoever.
But it just happens that way. That's the way people work. They just, they're not necessarily always willing to reach out or change their script every day. So it makes it challenging to sell, but it's finding what works for the right managers too, because they're trying to be innovative. They're trying to make money and
cost effective. I mean, the way that I've changed how I order it's crazy. The way that I was ordering I guess not a year ago now, but pre-COVID based on now is so different. Because we have to be super, super careful.
And it's one of the things I talk about all the time is margin and like what you can expect to make on margin. It's part of like the Excel thing that I've always tried to teach people. And I teach small business kind of like to think this way and like think about wine, spirit, and NA, like all and beer, like all separate and to keep those margins at a specific level. Well, that just goes out the window when you're talking about to-go products, because you can't offer them at the same margin that you're going to make for vodka. I don't know if it's appropriate to talk about how that margin is on this podcast, but like, we make money on liquor. Like, that sustains restaurants. I mean,
absolutely.
Food is not that, like when you go and just buy food, like, you're not helping that restaurant, really. You're just cutting teeth for the restaurant. But like, if you buy at least one cocktail when you're in the restaurant, you're helping that restaurant 10 times more than you are with the burger that you order or the side of fries and tater tots.
It's the truth. Yeah,
I think that's a good point to underline on this, because I think a lot of people, especially non-industry folk, actually, honestly, even probably bartenders don't really fully understand that. Maybe I bet a lot of bartenders.
Not a lot of bartenders do. A lot of our managers who've been doing it like long enough.
Our audience, like the people listening to this podcast, like, please, if you're going to take anything away from this, even though tequila is cool, that's the point that you really need to take home and tell all your friends. Like, if you really want to support restaurants, it's the booze side. That's what is making everybody.
And it's like, I mean, we're pay for the craft, is the rule. Like, right, just when you go to a restaurant, pay for the craft that's being put into something. Don't spend your money buying something that you're going to do at home. Pay for that. Go and get the experience, because that experience will change the way that you eat and dine. Like, you're going there to see what that restaurant's about. Go and have that experience. Try to order something that is exciting, or something that will change the way that you think about drinking. Take a risk and order the cocktail that looks the scariest to you, or the dish that looks the scariest to you.
Yeah, try something new.
Yeah, I think that people don't take advantage of that enough, and that's the exciting part for restaurants for me, because I cook at home. Like, I know how to cook. I go to restaurants and I try to order things that I have no idea how to cook. That's what I go look for, and I do the same thing with drinks too. I was like, I have no idea what that is. I'm gonna order
that. Put it in my mouth.
I gotta taste it. So.
Yeah.
Stop ordering grilled cheeses and Rainiers, people.
Yeah.
Live your best life. That's what we want you to do. That's every bartender ever.
Yeah. If you're hungover, fine.
Have like a good time.
Yeah.
So
well, yeah, I mean, that's a really good point. Yeah. And back to the original point. Yeah. Support restaurants still, people. It's still a pandemic. We're all still fucking struggling. And come and see all your friendly neighborhood bartender faces and order some booze.
I will say that I think that people have learned to be a little bit more patient through the pandemic in restaurants. I think that restaurants have learned to work with less staff, which is good. Means the profit, or restaurants can keep a little bit more of the profit, but those servers are definitely stressed out way more. It's hard for them, but I see some of the hopefulness of people being patient because there are less people to wait on them,
right?
For the right reasons, but still they're being patient and they can be patient. Yeah. And so I think that some of that's actually, I'm starting to see some of it when I'm out in restaurants or calling on people, that they're okay with, a little bit longer wait, or they're okay, just, they know things are going to take a little bit longer.
Yeah. And it's okay. You can still just sit back and enjoy it and make sure that everyone's having a good time. But yeah, good point.
Get a cocktail, chill out.
Get a cocktail.
It's fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Totally. Take a shot of tequila.
Yeah. Yeah. Take a double.
Yeah.
A little shot.
Well, we really appreciate you coming out. We have one more thing that we want to do with you before we let you go.
Yeah, we're getting to the end of our time here, but we were hoping that you could help us figure out just a pressing handful of questions that we were wanting answered. So Renae and I were having a couple cocktails last week, and we got to thinking about if certain brands or types of liquor were people, who would win in a fight.
A street fight.
just like a scrappy, throw it down.
All right.
Back alley.
I like it. I like these pressing questions.
Okay.
They're really important.
It's 2:00 in the morning. Everybody had a night, and it's the back alley of a dive bar.
Wait, are we talking about people that have consumed these?
Oh, good question, but no.
Oh.
No.
Are we talking about like me drinking a whole bottle of gin versus somebody who drank a whole bottle of tequila? Because
no one wins that fight.
Yeah, really. Maybe we were thinking more along the lines of like if the brand was a person.
Okay.
So we'll just Renae, Renae go first.
Let's just see how this goes, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Who would win in a fight? Jack Daniels versus Captain Morgan.
I'm gonna say, based on everything I know about both of those drinkers,
Yeah.
people who drink those, that Captain Morgan takes Jack.
I totally agree.
I was thinking the same thing. Yeah.
Because the people who drink Captain Morgan on a regular basis seem a little bit more swole than the Jack Daniels drinkers.
Yeah. I was just thinking like Captain Morgan as like, okay, I'm like imagining like Jack Daniels, like some guy just who lives in Kentucky, and then versus like a fucking pirate.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. That's where I went with it.
I think the captain takes it.
Yeah,
Okay,
I agree.
Concur. Okay, so this one's a little different, but we're going for, well, so who wins in this fight? Stoli versus Tito's. So both vodka.
Think about it.
Okay. We're going Russia versus Texas.
Tejas.
All right. Well, I'm going to say Stoli takes it over Tito's. And I'm only going to say this once. The guy who owns Tito's is a butthole.
Oh, okay, well, Stoli wins.
That's a bummer. I think
Tito's dumps their wastewater in a river and then pays the government of Texas that sued them. You know, like
Texas doesn't give a fuck.
Cool.
Yeah.
It's not cool.
Okay, Stoli wins. Russia, you got us this time.
We're still coming
for you.
Why?
Yeah, why? Okay. Ooh, this is a good one.
Okay. Oh, I actually really like this one.
Yeah.
Okay, who wins in a fight between Hennessy, or Hypnotic?
Henny all day.
Yeah.
The people drinking Hypnotic have made poorer life choices.
They'll just be throwing up because that's fair. You can't drink Hypnotic and not throw up.
I can. I don't want to.
You don't want to. You want to throw it up. You want to.
Unless it's in a smoothie, and then
okay.
maybe.
Okay, that one was easy. Okay, let's see here. How about Fernet Branca versus Ouzo? We're going Italy versus Greece.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna say that Rumpelmans will make its little experience in that occasion.
Rumpelmans just comes
take them all down.
Yeah. Okay. Actually, I really like that answer.
I can't get away from it. People who know me and have heard me before know that I drink Rumpelmans. So.
Yeah, it happens. I get it.
And if Ouzo's in the question, and Fernet or any of those, it's definitely
Rumpelmans just comes in swinging.
just comes in and swings hard.
I like it.
Fuck
you both. Boom.
Well, we might have one more.
Yeah, we've got one more. This is probably my favorite. Okay, Evan Williams versus Jose Cuervo.
Yeah, those are two mighty companies.
I know.
That's a tough one.
I'm gonna take Evan on this one.
Me too.
I would go Evan.
Yeah, I would say that. Yeah, I just would rather see them win.
Yeah,
me too.
We drink a good amount of Evan on this podcast.
Yeah, so. Evan Williams is our unofficial sponsor.
Yeah.
I think that Evan is probably like one of the better wells for all intents and purposes anyway.
Hell yeah.
It's a powerhouse bourbon that's true bourbon. And so, yeah, I mean, I would take him over, and I don't think that anybody's putting Jose Cuervo in their well any day soon. So
definitely not. No, Evan wins. Evan won the fight. Evan beat up Jose Cuervo. Sorry.
It
Sorry.
was a good fight.
Sorry. Well, thank you for playing. Well, thanks for playing our dorky game because we like to do that. But thank you for taking the time to visit with us. And
yeah, it was super fun. I hope to come back soon. It's great to chat with you guys, and your podcast kicks ass. So
yeah, thanks. Yeah, next time we talk, it'll have to be in person, and you'll have to like, bring us some booze or something.
Yeah, we could have some cocktails.
I'm more than happy to do. Well, we should do a cocktail show.
We could do a cocktail.
That'd be fun.
I need one right now. So
cocktail show. That'd be great.
Yeah, we can like maybe do a live thing.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
One of my favorite things that we ever did was is to do like cocktail classes. For a while, I did that and made tons of money on it. It was great, but they're super fun to do and just have like a fun little time.
Yeah, maybe that could be a segment that we do.
Cocktail class with Scott.
Cocktail hour with Scott.
Yeah, I'll make a cocktail with you guys.
Scott.
Scott's figuring it out. All right,
we'll work on it. We'll workshop that.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Scott. We appreciate you very much for doing this, and we hope that you have a wonderful week. Enjoy the sunshine. Put on your sunscreen, bud.
Yeah, yes. I'm already getting a tan here in my window.
I bet. Yeah.
All right.
All right, everybody. We will see you all next week. Tuesday's new episodes launch, and we love you all. We will see you all soon. Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Bye, guys.